Hey coaches, welcome back to Football Talk with Coach Chip. This is our third and final installment of our deep dive into Army's run game with Coach Clint Humphrey. I'll talk to you some more at the end when Coach Humphrey is done, but let's go ahead and get started. And don't forget, like the video, subscribe to the channel. Take it away, Coach Humphrey. All right, coaches, welcome back to our great film study and skull session whiteboard with Coach Clint Humphrey from XL High School in XL, Alabama. And he was just recently on the podcast. If you're watching this YouTube, go back and find us on the podcast and listen to that great conversation. Coach had some great takes on that as well. All right, Coach Humphrey, now this is the play that I love. And this is the play that started the whole thing with me posting it on social media and then you chiming in and just starting the conversation. It all led to all this. So go ahead, take over again. Tell us about the zone follow.
So this is really the play that led me to this system because as you'll see in these clips, it's practically a single wing play. And that's really what it's developed into. Even the year that Army tried to go spread, and they weren't very good at it. This was the kind of the one consistent. They were able to snap it to Daly and out of the gun, and I do have some gun clips, and he was able to create a lot of yardage because, I mean, look, it's a tale as old as time, right? I mean, football plays never stop being successful. Like people just get away from it, or defenses catch up, and then it cycles back around, and as the defense gets lighter or the defense changes personnel, now that play becomes viable again. So this is the second phase of the zone series, and it's the answer for when they start squeezing down and taking the zone dive away, taking the fullback away. You'll kind of see and understand how the plays fit together, and you'll kind of see and understand what led me to it. So everything is pretty well the same terminology-wise, and we're going to talk about the most basic version of this. There's obviously tags and things they get into, but the terminology is mostly the same. If you've seen the first portion of these videos, you'll get it. So the play side guard, instead of facing the B gap, he's doing what we call breaching the B gap. He's still the B seam protector, but he now has to have a play side shoulder mentality because he's no longer protecting inside gap. Now we're trying to get the quarterback out a little bit wider, and so we're trying to jump him out to the C gap. So he's still got the same rules. He's breaching anything in, on, out, or up. And again, based on where that defender is, and you'll see it in just a minute, it's going to change his footwork. It's going to change his mentality and his leverage a little bit. And he's going to work the calls with the center and the play side tackle to make sure we get us in the best look. So play side tackle and slot they're no longer skimming. They're doing what we call sorting, which is just the outside footwork version of that play.
Okay, skim is with the I, sort is with the O, inside, outside. Right. I love stuff like that.
Instead of stepping inside foot and trying to protect that B gap, we're trying to step outside foot. Now we're trying to keep the end in the B gap. We're trying to keep number one inside so we can get outside of him. And again, the way the plays work together is if one is concerned about the dive, which he should be, if he's not playing the B gap, you probably have problems. If he's not concerned about that, well, then we need to keep calling that play. But this guy, even if he's a 4, the reason we're calling this play is probably because he has heavy B gap presence, whether he's pinching, whether he's just kind of playing that gap, or whether he's stunting into that gap. We're going to try to take us a gap wider. And we'll talk about the lightning call at the very end. That's what happens when 2 kind of gets inside of you. So the third guy in the fit, he's got to take 2, but instead of having a dig mentality, he's going to have what we call a wall mentality. It's in some ways similar to the guard's mentality. We want to, like a guard, we want to prop up the B gap. We want to keep anything out that we can. We want to block anything that's in it. The Y or the X or whoever the third man is could be a heavy tackle. He's got number 2, but he's responsible for the C gap. and walling that C gap. So if the defender's inside the C gap, we want to keep him in the C gap, and we're going to take it a gap wider. If he's out of the C gap, we want to keep him out so we can hit it up in there. That's kind of the easiest way to think about it, and that's definitely how I think about it. Now, we're going to take the same mentality versus a 4-eye. So when I draw it on paper, it's going to look the same. The footwork has a little bit more outside presence on this 4-eye. But now we're sorting. So versa, this is kind of why, Coach, it looks like a lot of times a down block, or it looks like a duo type play, because everyone's rules on versus a 4-eye, like a tight front, kind of end up being the same. The slot's going to step right foot, left foot, trying to make sure that end doesn't slam to the gap with a mentality of I'm fitting this backer. And this guy has a mentality of I got a wall to C gap. So if that guy's outside leverage, we're trying to let the fullback run up in here and sort it out and take the third level defender, could be potentially a fold corner, let the quarterback jump out and follow him through that gap.
Oh, this is poison to all those people that loving those 4 eyes, running those tight and mint fronts. Yeah,
absolutely.
You're getting leverage. You got angles. Yeah.
So now there's one key difference when you face an even front. We're going to skip the 4-3 slide because again, this is ultimately still the same thing. So your calls carry over. So here versus some sort of an A gap presence, D lineman, you're going to get a bow call to this backside linebacker, fitting over the top. All right. Now you're sorting this defensive end to him fitting. Well, that creates a little bit of a B gap issue, right? Because if we get popped,
yeah, you get a run through there.
That tackle is not there to hold that gap. So this is where Army kind of treats a couple of these plays as different plays. We treat it as the same. Anytime the fullback hears a bow call from the guard, it tells him you're still running your levels off the block of the sort. But if we get B gap pop, you've got to take it. So he's got to.
On his way, he's looking.
Yep.
Just like
my eyes go to that linebacker. So my eyes, if I'm a fullback, go right here first. If this guy pops, I've taken him. I've got to collision him, and I got to stop him right there.
It's the same mindset as a wrapping guard. If you see that linebacker coming, you come off your wrap and you fit right there. It's the same. I'm just trying, because so many of our guys are gap scheme guys because that's what I do, and so many of our viewers. And it's the same mindset.
This stuff is unique. This stuff is different, man. It's a different mentality.
Well, you got. I look at it this way: the F, the fullback, he's your wrapper.
Yep.
He's climbing to linebacker, and if that linebacker pops, use your terminology, he comes off his path and fills that B gap. I love it. That's good stuff, man.
So now, if we get it, now if we face like an overfront, if we see a 3 technique, a 5. And, however else they choose to sort of. I've got the safety in kind of a weird spot. The safety would really be probably here versus a 4-2 look, right? Because you're not going to see a lot of 4-2, cover 2, or 2 split safeties versus this. You'll see that versus 4.
Oh, I bet you'd love to see it.
So if we get this is a little bit different mentality, right? Instead of facing this 3 technique and making a dingo call, we're breaching him, which just means we're base reaching it. So we're still getting the scoop from this backside. Again, a little bit different presence here because now we're running outside. We're not going to half scoop this backside nose to the backer. The center is wide scooping this thing to this play side backer. He's trying to get to him. If this guy runs, we turn back and we try to fit this guy, or we keep going on the safety, right?
Never chase linebackers.
Correct. These two are working their sort, so we're outside leverage, and this is going to change the tackle's footwork a little bit because of the fact now he's not inside leverage, he's not a 4 technique. Now he's outside leverage, so we've got to take a little bit different departure step to try to give us leverage on that 5 technique. But if that 5 technique keeps bleeding, the slot's footwork is still right and left. And we want to take our shoulder, and we talk about ear on the hip, right? We want to take our ear and get it on the hip, but what we really want to do, Coach, this is maybe not PC, this is kind of old school. Coach, we want to take our shoulder and we want to crack the ribs of that defensive end with our slot to deliver him back to the tackle.
There you go.
In this play, we never want the tackle to come off of number 1 and end up on the linebacker. We always want the slot. So the slot's mentality is I've got to protect this. I've got to sort this C gap and protect it so our tackle can overtake it. And then again, our third man in the surface, whether it's a receiver, a tight end, or a heavy tackle, he's got to take number 2. And he's still trying to gain inside leverage on 2. And we're trying to crease this box right here by running the fullback up in there for that safety. And we want to strand. That's the term we use for the corner. We want to strand this guy. And you got to remember, we're getting pitch motion coming back over the top, so he should fit that.
Yes.
Now we've created some problems for the defense. That's a lot of lines.
Yeah.
I got a lot of lines. And versus a 4-1, it would be very similar. So now versus a 4-1, one key difference is in the option count, 2 is always the first person stacked or outside. So versus a 4-1, we're going to sort this thing, but we're not sorting this thing to him. We're actually sorting this thing to the mic backside because 2 is going to get taken by him. Does that make sense?
But why would anybody run that? Never mind.
Well, if you had like a squat corner fire or something,
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so because you got to think, we're going to take 2 right there, and you also have to think people are concerned about the triple. So maybe they set their defense and they don't move it. So this fullback is running off the sort block, right? And again, we want to get vertical into safety because we're bringing this motion over to try to strand this corner and make him play pitch. And we want the quarterback to really fit it inside of the corner. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I see that defense on the left, though, man. I'm like a one-eyed cat looking through a damn seafood store. But anyway.
Ideal. So we're going to go butt shot here. All right. So very simply, we're going to get a bob call from these 2, right? And everybody else is scooping. You're going to see a really good scoop from this receiver right here. All right. The B gap's open. There's nobody in, on, out of that gap. So he's going to go up to that linebacker. He's going to take a right foot step to that linebacker right there. There's no need. There's no bow call. It's a bob call. There's no need for the fullback to do that. So he's running off the sort. These guys are going to take an outside leverage step with their play side foot, and they're working it vertical to this gap. The fullback should end up on that safety, and we're going to take it inside, and we're going to wall this C gap, try to keep that player out. And what you see is that pitch motion really creates a lot of secondary movement, and you do get a stem right here. All right, so let me go back and draw this again. You're still going to get the bob, but now you're getting a breach from this guard who's going to overtake that 3. We're still sorting this out. Now you've got a heavy tackle on a corner or an outside linebacker, whoever that is, and a fullback running the level to the safety, with the slot hopefully coming off to fit this linebacker coming over the top. He falls down. Fullback kind of ends up. Let me get rid of these real quick. Fullback ends up cleaning everything up. And it helps when you have a really good quarterback. That makes everything a lot easier.
Oh, the fullback, he's not even thinking about faking. He's lead blocking the whole time.
Yeah, there's no fake. The quarterback's going to jump out. So let me go back to the side shot because you can see it a little bit better. The quarterback's going to take what we call a soft hop. He wants to get both feet in the ground. Boom, boom. And we want to get that fullback out in front.
There's no fake involved.
He's just a lead blocker.
Yep.
And really what you can see from the side shot
is how much the option freezes this corner. Because this corner's
flat-footed, now when Daly runs up in there, he doesn't have any mat. There's no ass behind him, so there's not a whole lot of weight. So when you don't have any ass, you got to bring it to stop somebody with that kind of momentum. And you just, because you're concerned about the option, you don't have anything behind you.
Yeah. That's why you call it stranded.
That's right.
You stranded him. Yeah, I like it.
Now, Army put on a clinic versus Temple on this play.
And the good part about it is for this play, we have
a lot more butt shots because I didn't take them in TV copies. So right here, you get a 4-eye. So you're going to see a right foot, left foot, excuse me, coach, into that player. Now, that 4-eye spikes A gap right? So he sticks it in the A gap. Well, even though you have no second level responsibility with this double team, if there's no meat on the bone, you just keep going. The receiver or tight end, whichever one that is, kind of gets stunned right there at the line of scrimmage. But you can tell it doesn't have to be a devastating block because you've got people that are going to come and are going to clean it up a little bit for you. And my favorite part of this play is the finish from Daly on this linebacker or on this safety. Boom!
Oh, yeah, he kicked him out of the club, brother. I love the discipline of the tackle on the play side, not chasing.
Hard.
That's great eye discipline on his part. We talk about defensive guys having eye discipline, but offensive linemen, see, he didn't chase number 10.
Well, you got to think. His mentality is I'm knocked down double with this tackle right here, or this guard right here. So we should be knocked down double in here. Well, if the meat goes off the bone and disappears, I'm just staying on that path to backer because I know that the slot is responsible for play side backer, and especially with this movement and this momentum, he gets himself out of the play, and so you really want to get that dig right there. And ideally, the fullback would take that safety out, but the fullback had to clean up the block by the receiver. It wasn't great. So you see a really good job. Watch that slot pick his left foot up
and go left foot, right foot. He's putting his
hand. This is my favorite part of the whole thing. He gets his hand on that hip of the tackle and making sure there's no space. Something I talk about a lot with our players, whether we're single wing or whether we're flex bone, is the defense is trying to squeeze space, right? They're trying to squeeze it and take all the space away. We have to squeeze it too. We got to make sure we don't give them any creases to stick their hat into, and that's just a good example of that with a good finish by the quarterback right there.
That's good stuff, cuz.
I wonder. I can't remember if I have the clip where he jumps over the guy.
Is he back, by the way, or is he graduating?
He graduated.
Oh.
And Udo left, I think. If I remember correctly.
He'll be a second lieutenant.
Yeah, he'll be, protecting us. Thank God. People like him protect us.
That's right.
So this is a good example of the double team right here. So we're getting a dingo. And again, Army's changed really a lot of their fundamentals. And they don't play with quite the forward lean they used to play with. But this is just a great example of, like you said, Coach, poison to a tight front. This is the fit that you're really looking for right here.
And this guy's coming back over the top. I can't remember if they go across.
That fullback's running the alley, and he's there on the safety to outside on the corner is really where you're trying to crease this box and hit this thing. Good job of not chasing. Watch these backers scrape over the top. So the slot stays on his path. Let's backer one go. Hey, he's running. My fullback's got him. And I do a good job of getting on that backside.
This is the epitome of a hat for a hat. The linebackers flowed like crazy. They're fast flow. But
the tough thing, Coach, is if you're a secondary player and you're getting motion, this guy comes across right here. Whether you're getting a cross motion or deep motion,
how do you play triple? You have to slide, and it takes away your momentum. And now you got to stop your momentum, and you got to stick your nose back in that gap.
They just overwhelm them at the point of attack, Coach Humphrey.
All right, so here's a good example of a bow call and the fullback being B-gap responsible. Now this is a gun play. I'll show you the side shot first. This is kind of how we used it a little more last year out of single wing.
What a great reach.
Let me show you the butt shot and really talk you through it. So right here, you're going to get a bow call between this center and this guard because that guard's trying to knock him over to the center and scoop to that player right there. You're getting a sort from him, from the tackle on the slot up to this player. And you're taking a wall in the C gap with whoever number 3 is. So now your fullback hears that bow call. Well, that's a mighty big B gap. He's got to make sure nobody pops. Well, this sort ends up getting pushed this way.
So the fullback's going to end up, he's going to look at the sort, he's reading it, that's kind of his action key, so to speak. And if that gets pushed, we know the ball's going back inside, and now I'm going to fit back inside for any linebacker because there's no tackle presence in that B gap. So it's a really good fit from Udo. And you'll see it's not a devastating block. So watch this 5 technique, fight outside. The tackle and the slot end up staying on him. It's obviously a really good run from Daly, too.
The center puts on a reach clinic right here.
Well, Brady Small is really, really good for Army. He was I think he's a sophomore. I think he was the #1 graded center. He might be a junior. But he ends up getting that guy reach. Well, 71's trying to have presence on that guy. Watch 71's feet, right, left. You know, boom, right, left. It's hard to see it because of the motion. And he's trying to stay on that hip and knock that guy back for the center. Well, in their count, again, we haven't drawn much up against this defense. This is what we would define as a 4-1. So these two
are knocking this
back, and they're really going back here to this fold player because this is the only linebacker to them in the box. So they know this sort is going to him if the slot comes off of it because they think the fullback's going to take that safety and he's going to take number 2. Well, because that sort ends up getting strung out right here, the fullback's going to fit back inside, and so the bow block, they know we don't have to get this inside linebacker because he's going to get fit by the fullback or by the sort, whichever way. They just know he's somebody else's problem is what they know. And now because there is no really fold player, that guard ends up staying on that guy, which is really what. That fold player comes back into the play. Watch 15 come back into the play. And what a great, you talk about Army's O-line being the Joe Moore Award winners. This is why. Watch that guy. That's a defensive end folding back into the play. And that right guard has enough presence to see him and kind of keep prying that gap open so Daly can go score.
Yeah, and by the time they graduate, the senior linemen, they're going to be 50 pounds lighter.
Mm-hmm.
And they'll never play football again.
That's right. So this is an older clip. You are going to see some guys throwing on the second level on the backside. You can't do that anymore, but I just thought it was a really good fit.
Unpopular take. Even at the high school level, I always thought that below the waist stuff. In my opinion, any below the waist block that the defender can see you ought to be legal.
Yeah, I think you should be able to cut in the box at all levels.
You should be able to cut in the box, not from the side. Obviously, that high-low stuff that's cheap and dirty.
Sure.
But in the open field, even, if you can see them coming, play football, dude. I know it's an unpopular take with defensive coaches, but I've always said that when they outlawed it like my second or third year in coaching. That's how long it's been.
Yes,
and I still ain't got over it. By God, I'm still pissed about it.
Now watch this guy at the top of the screen right here. You can see my cursor, can't you, Coach?
Yeah, I can see it.
So watch this guy really work to scoop. He's going to scoop this dude all the way over, like in the A gap. Now watch the effort. This is all it takes to get it sealed off. Now he ends up scooping that 4 technique. But watch him. He's just throwing. All he's trying to do is make that guy play him.
Is that still legal in college? What he just did?
Yes.
Okay.
You can't go high-low.
But what he just did is legal.
Yes.
Okay.
All right, now, I think we're coming up on the end, Coach. This is a lightning call. So we talked about this earlier. So we do make a call. This is actually a term that I took from Rick Darlington and some single wing stuff that we use. If number 2, and again, this is 1 in the count. This is 2 in the option count. If 2 is inside leverage of you, and we're running follow, all right, and we're running follow this way. If he's inside leverage, it's not like zone dive where you've got to dig that guy out. But you're just going to wall him in the C gap. But you make a lightning call to tell the slot.
Instead of going through this gap to sort the linebacker,
we want you to jump around.
There you go. Yeah.
Sort him right there, because you're basically saying, hey, we're going to take this a gap wider. If you're getting this, you're probably getting this.
Yes.
Right? So it should be an easy block from the tackle, who's now on an island. The tackle's now on an island. I'm going to step right foot. If this guy pinches, I'm left foot slamming him down into the gap. So we're trying to create a wash, and now the fullback, again, he's always working this off of this block. But when he sees this slot go, he should work like this, fit the safety, and the motion should strand this corner outside, so we don't have to worry about it.
You got that on video?
I do.
Ooh.
I think. I can't remember.
Don't tease me, man.
Yes, I do.
Okay.
So this is on the goal line, but it's a really good example. So I wish I had the play before this. They try to run zone dive, and the receiver, the tight end, just can't get that guy. He can't get him dug out. So Army immediately comes back with a second phase, which is how this works together. And they're going to crush that guy down.
And it actually goes wide. Yeah. Just outside of tackle.
Now I believe that Army doubles this right here. That I don't know if he's a 4-eye or Coach, be honest with you, at their level, if they've got a man-on-man outside, they probably combo a 4 technique, because they know he's going where. He's got to go B gap.
Oh, yeah. He's got to go inside.
Even if he's head up, Coach, even if he's a 5, for that matter, if he's a 5 and you got a man-on-man outside, meaning this number 2 is inside leverage of the third man,
right,
just go on and double that guy, because you know he's got to go to the B gap. If he doesn't, it's unsound.
So they end up doubling this guy right here.
Again, we're wide scooping this thing. We're full scoop on the backside with everybody else. And number 2 is inside, so we're going to end up crushing him down. And the slot fits over the top to get that linebacker. The motion strands the corner, and the fullback fits the safety.
Yep. And the safety didn't want any.
He wanted no part of it. They're also a yard away from the end zone.
Yeah.
It would be the same. Yep, and that was the last slide. So it would be the same, anywhere on the field. So. And Coach, I'll tell you what, I really messed up because I didn't put my info or anything on here. I don't know if you want to include it in the comments or whatever.
I've got it somewhere written down because it's on the podcast.
Yeah. But Coach, thank you for having me. This has been awesome. I think what you do is great. I would love to come back on.
Oh yeah.
I love talking ball. I could probably talk this all day. So
when you get some film at your next stop, we'll definitely do this again. And I just appreciate you doing it, man. Like I said, I think I'll divide this into 3 or 4 different videos and make it into a playlist. And I don't know what I'll call it, the Army Zone Series. So that's what we'll do. But I appreciate you being on so much. And we'll definitely do it again. And guys, if y'all have not listened to the podcast with Coach Humphrey, please go on over there and check that out too. And he's got some great takes, and it absolutely just goes hand in hand with what he just did. Because really the podcast turned into a tease for this video series. Well, coaches, that's it. That's the third and final part of a deep dive into Army's run game with Coach Clint Humphrey right here on Football Talk with Coach Chip. And we've ended it up with the quarterback follow using outside zone blocking, which was the play that was in the clip that I put on the Facebook page, Football Talk with Coach Chip page. And Coach Humphrey saw it and commented on it, and we got to going talking about it. And it turned into a podcast episode, and then it turned into a 3-part series on this. It was wonderful. I'm going to do this more often. If you know a coach that has a unique insight into a particular part of football, hit me up at seagle.chip@gmail.com, and we'll get him on just like we did Coach Humphrey right here. And I can't tell you how much I appreciate Coach Humphrey for doing that, giving up his time and being so gracious with it, and sharing the knowledge that he worked so hard to get, spending time with the Army Black Knights coaching staff up in West Point, New York. And good luck to him in his future endeavors as he moves on to another chapter in his life. Still coaching, just a different locale. Hey guys, don't forget you got an opportunity to support old Coach Chip and Football Talk with Coach Chip. Buymeacoffee.com/Coach Chip. Buymeacoffee.com/Coach Chip. You can do it because I was able to set it up. And if I can set it up, then I know you can participate. Find us at Football Talk with Coach Chip on Facebook. That's our group. Also on Twitter, X. It's Coach Chip at Chip Seagle. Come on over there and hit me up, and we'll just chop it up and talk some ball. Don't forget the podcast. Excuse me. The podcast is 42 episodes strong, coming up real soon. So jump on over there and find that. Subscribe to the channel right now, because when you subscribe, you get access to, it says 38, now it's over 40 free resources, nearly 50, I believe. Free resources just for subscribing. In the last 3 days, I sent boo-koodles of them out. It doesn't bother me one bit to give stuff away because, you know what? I didn't pay for it. I did. I paid for it with blood, sweat, and tears, I reckon. Hey, if you want to get together and talk ball, talk some of the concepts, and if you want to talk about this stuff these last 3 episodes have been about, you need to hit Coach Humphrey up at clintmhumphrey@gmail.com. Because he was schooling Coach Chip on this stuff. Now, I'm here to tell you, Hoss, he knew it, I didn't, and I'm still trying to learn it. That's good stuff right there, cuz. So, you want to talk about the concepts that are on the channel, hit me up. We can get together. We'll do a Google Meet. I'll meet with your coaching staff. We'll do whatever it needs to do to help you be a better football coach and help you help those kids have the best chance to succeed. I'm available for in-person or Google Meet, consultations, installs. When the season gets here, break down your film, or not break down your film, help you evaluate the film. I'm not going to get into that mess, but I'll look at it and say, here's what I see. Kind of like, we self-scout, but sometimes, we're looking at it through a different lens, so to speak, and get somebody outside the coach's office to look at it. Sometimes that'll make it better. All right. That's it for this episode of Football Talk with Coach Chip. Be sure to like this episode and subscribe to the channel. And I'll see you on another episode. Hey, y'all. Be elite. All video clips contained on Football Talk with Coach Chip are meant for analysis, criticism, comment, teaching, and research by football coaches. We believe this falls under the Fair Use Doctrine of the Copyright Act, Section 107.